facilitating iterations or facilitating Scrum event. What is the best approach, and how can you as a Scrum Master in a safe environment effectively facilitate your event? What should you be doing? And kind of going by what the SAFe Scrum Master training teaches us, we're going to be covering 6 aspects on how to facilitate effective event. The first one is going to be planning. If you don't plan, there is nothing you can do. The second is going to be how to track what you've planned, which we track that using the daily stand-up. The third is going to be backlog refinement. Backlog refinement comes somewhere in the middle of your planning so that you can effectively plan for the next planning. The next is going to be facilitating review, and the next is going to be relentless improvement, and the next is going to be support DevOps and release on demand. Okay, that's going to be what we're going to be covering in lesson 4 of our SAFe Scrum Master training next week. So I always tell people that if you do SAFe Scrum Master training, you don't need PSM and CSM. Why? Because in facilitating events, we go through almost everything that you're going to learn in PSM and CSM. Right. Perfect. Now, if you want to be part of the training next week, just send me a text or check the description below to enroll on time, the limited spot. If you already certified, you need coaching, feel free to reach out. We have limited spot for people that need coaching. If you want more resources, check the description link. We have about 150 plus question and answer that can help you. But then I want to go straight to today's teaching because it's very important, and I know that's why you're here. So I definitely don't want to waste your time. So I want to talk about iteration. What you understand about iteration? If I'm in the Scrum environment, I'm going to say sprint. Can you run me through your sprint planning? But in a safe environment, tell me how you can effectively facilitate iteration. I want to start with planning, iteration planning, which is going to be the first part of iteration, where you're going to think what is going to be your role in iteration planning. Now, let me kind of answer this in a very high level and non-technical way that makes you understand a bit on what the reality is in the field. Now, if today was my sprint or iteration planning, what I'm going to do is that I need to make sure that I know everyone that is available to work during that circle, which is normally a 2-week circle. And when I know everyone that need to work, it helps me to know what amount of work we can take. And in order to know what amount of work we can take is dependent on how we have been performing, or if it's the first time for us working, there's a default value of a story point that is assigned to every team member in order for us to complete that sprint. Now, that iteration, when I know it's available, I go ahead and look at what is the priority based on the communication of the product owner with the stakeholder. When we know the prioritization and what is the roadmap, what are we visualizing, we start planning based on what is urgent. Now, when we have our plan, we also add estimate. What is the required amount of effort that we can use to complete this work? We add estimate, and the most recommended is the Fibonacci sequence or the POCA planning. And people also use t-shirt sizes, right? Doesn't matter what your company use, all of them try to give us what amount of effort is needed. When we know what amount of effort that is needed, we want everyone to commit to the plan, because the business must always rely on the team commitment. No matter how experienced the team is, if they don't commit to do the work cannot be done, right? Commitment, and then not forgetting our goal. Sprint goals are very important, or iteration goals are very important. When we do that, the next thing that follows is that we need to constantly check what we committed to through our daily stand-up. Daily stand-up or daily scrum or whatever you might call it help us to have an overview of what everyone is working on if there are challenges. And this is where you, the Scrum Master, keep your eyes open to look for what are challenges and how you can step in to facilitate or to help. Now, after you've done, like, let's say we're starting our sprint on Tuesday or on a Wednesday. Now, I expect sometime, or it's recommended that by the mid of the sprint, do a backlog refinement. Why is it important to do a backlog refinement by the mid of the sprint? It helps you to visualize what is coming up next, and it also helps you to also understand what your team might be carrying forward. So during the backlog refinement, don't just go through the backlog and say, oh, we're going to be looking at this and click through. Try as much as possible to also say, okay, it's a moment for you to kind of pre-evaluate what your team has been working on. Also foreseeing what do you think it's going to be pushing over to the next sprint, and having all of that idea and how you can push this all along. Okay, perfect. And now, we also have the last day for spring. We have the spring review or the iteration review, where we present what we've been doing to the stakeholder. Now, a lot of people have a confusion between review and demo. All of them happen on the same day. Review simply means that we're going through all what we did. We want to look at what we completed, what we did not complete, and why we actually completed some and not completed some. Demo is about we demonstrating what is completed, and we can show that it's working. So you can only demo something that is working. You can only demo a working software if you want to speak the agile language, right? And then after we demo, we need to sit back as a team and learn how to improve. That's where we have the retrospective, and that's where you're expected to really be creative in bringing situations that can help your team to learn forward. Now, the last aspect which I want to talk about today is about support, DevOps, and release on demand. Now, one of the things that is really encouraged in the agile environment is about DevOps. Now, DevOps, and we also have DevSecOps. DevOps is the collaboration between developer and the operation, and that's where we have what we call CI/CD. CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, is because we don't want the development team to be separate arm and the operation team to be separate arm. There need to be that collaboration. Now, when you have now this SecOps, the sec in the middle is what we call security. Now, we also need to make sure we're tying together the security, DevOps, and operation. The operation might not really have a good understanding of how to deal with all the software that has been built and other stuff, but then there are security measures put in place to make sure that if something is happening that the operation cannot handle, there's a security alert or there's a security breach. It's just like you're trying to log into your bank account, and after 3 attempts, what happened? It stopped. After 3 attempts, stop, and they suspend it. That's a security measure. And release on demand, it's an entire process in Scrum. The reason we build an increment is because we need to release on demand, right? Well, so this lesson normally takes us 3 hours. Why? Because it's a practical lesson. We don't just talk it. We go through the backlog. We show you what planning is all about. We show you what estimation is all about. We'll let you participate in the entire process. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about finishing PI.